I would like to discuss and go further in depth, perusing through this book very briefly, as brief as I can, and touch upon a few certain things, topics, and this book being The Sovereign Light, A Course in Metaphysical Spirituality. And my name is Maria, Reverend Maria, Arvanitidis, that's what the RMA is for. And I'd like to make a topic where I can also use some examples for this week that just went by and some of my experiences with the ego mind and the two Taoism, if you will, dualistic side of things, the polarities that we see, and the in-between truths, probabilities of those distortions that we learn from. And seeing that I've already opened the table up, I'd like to discuss about this thing called paradox and how we can learn. And throughout this book, you will find a lot of paradoxes as being the observer and mindfully learning about paradox and getting a feel of what perception could look like in the variations when we kind of play with perspectives. In a sense that I did make a few notes, and when we spiral down, we meet with opposition and contrast from which to expand outward from one end to the other. Are the many possibilities of truth or the gap from which all distortions do exist? So I did describe this is the paradox. And within this paradox, we say one thing and might mean another in those variations of contrast, meaning the irony of it all. And upward, when we spiral energetically upward, the poles become once again in resonance, is this common theme of this thing called ascension and descension. And throughout the book, it will have those paradoxes from which we can learn from that the ego mind does. You gotta understand, understand, or whatever it is that you can grasp within these words, is this thing, this age that we've been in for 300 years or so now. We have taken a fall, and from a Vedic perspective, educationally, everything we have learned up till now in the Kali Yuga, we've learned, and it applies, even Freudian concepts, all the theorists, everything under the sun that we have learned in the past 300 years or so, that we have entered from the bronze into the Kali Yuga, and the most darkest state of a reality that we've fallen into unconsciously is this thing that nuclear explosions, nuclear war, the splitting of the atom. And I have discussed as well the splitting of the atom, not so much, but that is at the most apex, or if you want to call it the lowest point of our darkness, in the dark stages of the lowest of low that we have fallen to. And you know, I have spoken about subatomic particles and waveforms, and at the very, very molecular level, these atoms, what they're capable of. Within each atom, there's a nucleus, and within each nucleus, I mean, we can't even see these things. How dense and how heavy, atomically, how heavy they are. And in between the spaces, okay, we have protons, we have neutrons, and we're made up of protons and neutrons. And now the difference is these electrons, these waves that come in through us and animate us, and this attraction, and this is what we're doing on a molecular level, and we have played with this. Scientists have used all these things. I mean, to split an atom, is to split this nucleus, which created nuclear wars, bombs, and we've eradicated, and we're now moving upward. We're actually, that was at the lowest traumatic level anybody can go in humanity. Now we're starting to come out of it. Perhaps by 2025, we'll once again be into the bronze, then silver and golden age, as the Vedic way. But, you know, there's many other theological, educational ways of looking at it. And that was one, because I've discussed the Eastern and Western philosophy, and I've put everything under the sun you can possibly imagine, and taken it a step upward, spiraling upward, in the sense that we are examining those areas and all the way showers from the past, our teachers, our scholars who have shown us the way. And, you know, whether it be through religion, the ascended masters like Christ, and now it's time for us to come out of the traumas, to start healing and ascending upward. And the way we can do it is by descending and ascending, and we have done this. And the paradoxes that we're going through to this book is really coming together, and from the Taoism aspects of yin and yang and all these, to bring it all together, because when we start moving upward, we become one. When we start spiraling downward, okay, what happens is we fall into separation, the fall of mankind, the sleeping, into, you know, losing our consciousness, awareness of who we are and what everything is. We become victims instead of creators. You know, we fall into this contract with each other. Who's going to be the perpetrator? Who's going to be the victim? And we play games with each other so that we can learn. These contracts are no longer apply anymore. Okay, we can play as long as we want, but we're now going upward. We're ascending. And this is what I would like to take it to another level, and this is what this book is doing, is taking it to another level of enlightenment. Okay? And now, I don't know how long we've gone, but I would like to take a few things, and through this book, like I would like to start reading a few things, you know, and in reverence, I would like to discuss this thing called Ascension, okay? And we can take this lesson 202, but I think I've gone too far, so why don't we take it to another this is the intro, and then we'll take it to a part 2. Thank you.